Hey everyone, welcome back to The Explainer. So if you're learning Spanish, you have probably hit that really frustrating wall where you try to translate a sentence word for word from English and, well, it just totally falls apart. We have absolutely all been there. You know the vocabulary, you've conjugated the verb perfectly, but suddenly a tiny one-letter word completely trips you up. I'm talking about prepositions. Today we're focusing on a very specific grammatical hurdle, straight from page 22 of our source material, Libro 2. It's a quirk that catches almost every English speaker off guard. Spanish verbs that absolutely demand the preposition a.
Okay, let's dive into our roadmap for today. 1. The preposition a trap. 2. Meet the 6 core verbs. 3. Real-world examples. And 4. Put it into practice.
All right, part 1. The preposition a trap.
Now, you might be wondering, what exactly is the trap? Well, the biggest pain point for us English speakers is our heavy reliance on English logic. In English, prepositions usually indicate a physical location or direction, right? Like you're in the box, on the table, or at the store. But in Spanish, certain verbs are just permanently married to the preposition a, regardless of whether there is any physical direction involved at all. You literally cannot separate them without breaking the grammatical rules. So think about this for a second. Why do some Spanish verbs need an a? Is there some secret grammatical code? Honestly, the truth is, there isn't a magical, logical English translation for this. It's just a built-in grammatical partnership. Over centuries, the language evolves so that these specific verbs use a to connect to the very next idea, which is usually an infinitive verb or a noun. It's not about translating word for word, it's really about memorizing these pairs as a single combined unit of meaning.
Moving right along to section 2, meet the 6 core verbs. So the crucial point is getting to know this specific list of verbs because they're going to anchor our entire lesson today. First up, we have acostumbrarse a, which means to get used to something. Second, atreverse a, meaning to dare to do something. Third is conectarse a, to connect to. Fourth, dedicarse a, which translates as to dedicate oneself to a task or a profession. Fifth, dirigirse a, meaning to address someone or go towards something. And finally, the 6th verb, jugar a, which means to play a game or sport. Notice a pattern here? Yep, almost all of these are reflexive, meaning they end in C, and every single one ends with that vital, non-negotiable a.
Let's jump into section 3, real-world examples. Memorizing a list is great and all, but seeing it in actual context is where true fluency happens. Now, what's really interesting here is how these behave in a sentence. Let's look at acostumbrarse a. Our example reads, Estoy acostumbrado a hacerlo así. I am used to doing it this way. Notice how acostumbrado, the participle, links perfectly with the preposition a right before the infinitive verb hacerlo. That little a acts as the superglue holding used to and doing together. Next up is atreverse a. Our real-world example is, No te atrevas a venir sin el regalo. Don't you dare come without the gift. You can almost hear the stern warning tone in this sentence, right? Here, the conjugated verb atrevas directly triggers the a right before the infinitive venir. If you drop the a here, the sentence completely falls apart for a native speaker. Let's look at conectarse a. The example is, Ellos se conectan a Internet. They connect to the internet. Out of all our core verbs today, this one definitely feels the most literal for English speakers. Connect to translates beautifully and directly to conectar a. This is a total easy win for learners, so absolutely bank this one as a confidence booster.
Moving on to dedicarse a. Our text gives us, Ellos se dedican a ayudar a los más pobres. They dedicate themselves to helping the poorest. Look really closely at this sentence. There are actually 2 a's here, but we're just focusing on the first one. The verb dedican is immediately followed by a, which connects it to the action ayudar. That second a you see? That is the personal a before los más pobres, which is a whole different grammar rule. For our purposes today, just remember, dedicarse always needs its partner, a. And this brilliantly illustrates our next verb, dirigirse a. Here, the preposition acts as a literal directional arrow. Dirígete a tus superiores con respeto. Address your superiors with respect. See how the preposition points your action, the addressing, directly toward the target, the superiores? It's a really visual way to understand how the preposition directs the verb. Our final real-world example is jugar a. Ustedes juegan a las cartas muy bien. You all play cards very well.
I love this one because it's a wonderfully fun quirk of the Spanish language. In English, we just play cards or play tennis. But in Spanish grammar, you don't just play the game, you play to the game. You play to the cards. Jugar a las cartas. It definitely takes a little getting used to, but once it clicks, you are going to sound incredibly natural.
All right. Section 4, put it into practice. We've covered the trap, we've learned the 6 core verbs, and we've studied the examples. Let's move to and see how this builds, because now it is time to challenge you. We're going to do a quick, interactive fill-in-the-blank test pulled straight from Exercise L in our source material. Get ready to shout the answers out at your screen. Here is your first challenge. Pedro está blank ir en autobús a su trabajo, meaning Pedro is taking the bus to his job. Think back to our 6 verbs. Which one perfectly fits the idea of being accustomed to or used to something? I'll give you a second.
Did you get it? The answer is acostumbrado a. Pedro está acostumbrado a ir en autobús a su trabajo. Pedro is used to taking the bus to his work. Fantastic job if you remember to put that a right before the infinitive ir.
Okay, let's try the next one. De blank escalar esa montaña conmigo. Are you climbing that mountain with me? Think about the vibe here. Climbing a massive mountain is a big deal. Which of our verbs means to dare to? I'll give you a few seconds to mentally fill in the blank.
Boom. The answer is atreverse. ¿Te atreves a escalar esa montaña conmigo? Do you dare to climb that mountain with me? Emphasizing that daring, adventurous nature of this sentence really helps cement the meaning of atreverse a in your mind.
All right, moving on to a very relatable, highly modern problem. Llevo 3 días sin blank. Internet. I've gone 3 days without the internet. Recall the verb from our core list that means connecting. Remember, this was the easy win we talked about earlier. Yes, it's conectarme a. Llevo 3 días sin conectarme a internet. Notice here that because it follows the preposition sin, we have to leave the verb in its infinitive form, but we still attach the reflexive me to the very end of it to match the speaker. And, crucially, we keep that vital preposition a right before internet. Really great work. Okay, here is your final test question from Exercise L. Elena blank la pintura con mucha pasión. Elena, painting with a lot of passion. We need the specific verb that means dedicating oneself to a craft or a profession. What's the phrase? The answer is se dedica a. Elena se dedica a la pintura con mucha pasión. Elena dedicates herself to painting with great passion. Hey, if you got that, give yourself a massive pat on the back. You have actively followed along, and you're well on your way to totally mastering this grammar rule. I want to leave you with this final thought. Mastering the small connecting words, like the preposition a, is literally the secret to sounding truly fluent in Spanish. It's really not just about having a massive vocabulary. It's all about how you naturally glue those words together. So I leave you with this question to chew on. What other Spanish verbs are currently tricking you into translating directly from English? Think about it, keep practicing, and we will see you in the next explainer.